again, One Church. My name's Katie and I'm one of the leaders with you guys at One Church. I've been thinking about that word again, but, B-U-T. And there's quite a famous verse in Genesis, the last chapter of Genesis chapter 50, near the end of the story of Joseph being sold into slavery in Egypt. And I'll just read it to you now. You intended to harm me. It's Joseph talking to his brothers. So they intended to harm him, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. I might not know the ins and outs of your situation over the last 4 months or so during the COVID pandemic. I might not know whether you've had parenting struggles or financial struggles, maybe a new diagnosis of illness, maybe living in a situation that's just fraught with danger. I might not know those situations, but I wonder sometimes if we feel a bit helpless. We don't understand the big picture. We're not sure what might be going on. But then we can remember these words, but God. Joseph said those words. He'd been thrown into jail. He'd been thrown into a pit. He'd been sold as a slave. Everything he ever knew had gone from him. He'd been wrongly accused. He'd had to work really hard. And then he'd come out of prison, but not at the time he'd hoped to. He really had been through some really difficult circumstances in his life. And yet at this point, he can say to his brothers, you intended it for harm, but God. And more than that, but God intended it for good, for the saving of many lives. You know, Joseph was aware through his story often of what God had in store for him. And here he is nearing the end of the story, being able to declare the promises of God. All I want to do today is to encourage you that if you belong to Jesus, you are his. And there will always be a but God. Whatever the circumstance, there is a but God. People might disappoint you. Situations might be really tough. You might be struggling in lots of different ways. But that situation, those people don't have the final say. There's always a but God. See you all soon. Bye.